Sunday I'm live. Am I? I'm not too sure. Let's see. Yes, I am. Okay, I am live. Oh my goodness. A little thing we're doing today from Raising Multilinguals live this Tuesday afternoon, where I normally just sit and chat with Ute, but unfortunately she had a sudden a little personal thing that came up, so she won't be able to join us today. And I thought to myself, should I just ditch the audience or should I just still come on and say hello? And I decided I will do the latter. And of course, I won't ditch you guys. I'm just going to come on, say hello, and see if you have any questions, any discussion topics this week. But if not, I mean, that's all. Of course, that's fine. I won't stick around too long, but I am going to spend a few minutes and share my time with you guys if I have any urgent topics that you'd like to talk about. Tuesday afternoon, it's like we're almost hitting the midpoint of the week. For me, I start my week on Sunday, so I usually just whoa, Ute, you coming on? Hello, Ute. I don't know if you're in this. I don't know if you're free, but no obligations there. I'm just coming on to say hello to the folks. If there are any who would like to come on and say hello, but no obligations to anybody. Just sharing my time as we usually do at this time of the week. Hope you're doing well, Ute. You seem to be the only one right now as we speak. I'm not able to see the counter on my other screen. Okay, so it's okay. It's okay. I see that you're in the car. You're traveling and that's fine. Of course. Once again, there's no prep done today. I've been scrambling around. I just got so many things running around. You know, when the kids go off on vacation, it's not like it's relaxing time for the parents. There's actually more to do. There's more to plan. And got all these camps. I don't know if you guys have that in your neck of the woods, but we have different camps that we register the kids to, and keeps them busy during the day. But they've got so much spare time. There's no homework for those camps, so they've got so much spare time at night. And so that's what I spend a lot of time with, but I'm grateful for that. Hello, Momentos Bilingües. ¿Cómo está? Espero que esté bien, de donde que sea que esté. We're all doing good. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm already in downhill mode. Because I was just saying when we just first started that I work with my folks in Japan, and so my week actually starts on Sunday evening. So this is really literally like middle of the week for me. When Thursday evening is my Friday, because folks in Japan are on Friday. So I'm already almost midway through the week, and I'm ready to go downhill from here. Anywho, wherever you are, I hope you are doing well. Now, I thought I'd come on, at least say hello, and see if there's anybody who would like to come on for an impromptu chat. Ute had a little emergency, so she unfortunately cannot join today, but we wish her well. And now, on the other hand, if you are on Instagram, you'd like to, hey, who knows, you'd like to come on camera and say hello, you're also welcome to do that. Fortunately, that's a little harder to do on YouTube and Facebook. It's a little harder for me to do that. But you are welcome to write in your comments and questions into the comment section of whichever platform you're watching. We talk about anything that has to do with raising multilingual kids. So it's multilingual parenting, and things that are mostly parenting is also pretty welcome. In fact, I was just going through some questions on these various platforms that not various platforms, various Facebook groups that I'm in. One is from actually my co-host Ute's group, and also another one from Rita Rosenbach, his group called the Multilingual Parenting. So it's a treasure trove of of information, and it's where you can find lots of allies, right? If you put in some questions, oftentimes it's not actually the owner of the group that's going to answer you. It's all the other parents and all the other language experts that are going to jump in and help you out and support you. So I do encourage you to join these groups. So there's one called Multilingual Families, that's run by Ute and and another one called Multilingual Parenting, run by Rita Rosenbach. And these are all top-notch experts in this field, in this niche of raising multilingual kids. And I'm sure they'll be happy to take any question that you have. And like I was saying, all these other supportive people who are part of these groups will be jumping in and getting you out of whichever problems that you may be facing at that moment. And so I was going through this. And I was looking at some fun stuff. Oh yeah, here's one. Here's one that I thought I'd share with you guys. As I won't be putting this on screen since I don't have any permission to name these folks. But if you join the groups, you can obviously find this content. So here's a question that's just thrown out there. What do you think is the biggest misconception about moving abroad, about living abroad? I've got lots of stuff that I could talk about here, but here's like one of these reaction videos that we see a lot. Let's see what the other folks are saying. So it's a real example, example of what kind of information you could find in these Facebook groups. It's just lots of stuff. So here's a very typical scenario, typical question in this area of raising multilingual kids. You know, parents cross-cultural marriage, and they live in a different country, different languages, and what the different types of issues that they encounter. So here's the question: what do you think is the biggest misconception about moving abroad? Okay, so let's see what some of the folks are saying here, and I'm sure we could get some inspiration from that. One person says, "You think you can keep the same lifestyle?" Well, that's a big no-no. It's most likely you will have a different lifestyle. You cannot bring your own lifestyle wherever you're from and expect that to be exactly the same the place wherever you're going to. There's another one that says Europe as a whole, which country you go to doesn't matter. Well, Europe, I think Europe is one of those areas where you go a few kilometers, few hundred kilometers, and you're in a completely different culture zone. Unlike where I'm from right now in Canada, here you could go for hundreds of kilometers and still face the same folks, sort of a little bit of a different scenery, but not so much. Lots of fields, I guess. Sometimes if you go into the prairies, you'll be facing hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of fields. What else are people saying? Okay. Yes. So again, the question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception about moving abroad? One person says you'll be able to make friends easily. Well, probably depends on who you are, what kind of person you are. But of course, this person also stresses that it could depend on the local culture, the local folks are with respect to making friends. Some cultures, I guess, yes, it's true. Some cultures are simply much more, engaging. Some cultures are more sort of reserved. I think about the Asian culture. Oftentimes, it takes a little bit more. They're not less friendly, but it sort of takes a little bit more to break that ice, I guess. So depending on the places, some places you can make friends really quickly, possibly lose them very quickly also. Some places it takes a little more, but you make friends that are deeper, potentially. Okay. And what else do we have? Some people say, well, you go to a different country, you expect your kids to be able to adapt easily. Well, it's better to be careful about that. When I came over to Canada, in Quebec, actually, my parents actually tried to take time to give me French lessons. They thought that was something that could really help me, although I didn't learn a lot. I mean, and I didn't take that many lessons, so I feel like I came here with just oui and non. but I did learn quite a lot more once I got here. But she does always talk about you need to prepare the kids before that big move, because culture shock sometimes can be more devastating for some kids than others. So it's better to be over prepared than not enough. Totally agree with that. Okay, so once again, what do you think is the biggest misconception about moving abroad? What other nice answers do we have here? That one can go back home, says one person. Why not? I mean, yeah, you can go out and go back home. I'm not too sure why you wouldn't be able to do that unless it's unless it's a political thing, or being a refugee, that kind of stuff may make it a little more difficult, I guess, in that sense, potentially. Yeah. So different people have different circumstances, obviously. Cannot speak for all, but true. Okay. Oh, here's a big one. Okay. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about moving abroad? This person says that you can go in with English and without learning the local language and just make it and wing it, I guess, so to speak. I think lots of English speakers have this misconception, even for people who are quite used to it. For example, my mother's Japanese, and I've been to Japan quite a lot as a kid. But when I actually went to Japan in 2003 to study and work, I came up with I had the misconception that Japanese will be able to communicate very easily in writing in English. I sort of really overestimated their openness to using English as a communication form, because I always thought, okay, I can read Japanese, but typing Japanese is just a pain. So when people wrote me in Japanese, oftentimes I actually wrote back in English. But I later found out that, it's not because you can that you like, and that's, you just have to flip the situation around for me. I know I can type Japanese, but it took me a lot more, effort to write in Japanese. So I thought, well, they can write me in Japanese, I can write back in English, and that'll be hunky dory. But actually, no. Found out that oftentimes, especially at work, these folks are supposed to know English in a relatively international oriented company, but it turns out that I wasn't getting responses as quickly as I had hoped. Whereas if I took the time to actually write the email in English, that really smoothed out the communication much more. So that's something I've learned. So since then I've really decided to use English on very simple stuff, just a quick, okay, yes, done, that kind of stuff. But if it's something that's more important, I will actually write out everything in Japanese, especially in long form. If it's long form, people will not read it, or they will deprioritize my email if it were in English. So it's a misconception that you think folks will embrace English as much as you think they will. Okay, so I've got a few comments here. Hello, everybody. Milushakakal, welcome. Got folks watching us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. From wherever you are, do say hello right in the comment. And if you are so inclined, on Instagram, you can send in a little a request, and I could bring you on the camera if you want to say hello in person. So here Ute saying, absolutely, there are different stages we go through when moving abroad. So yes, I think this is about the point about preparing the kids, if I'm not mistaken, or is this about embracing English? I'm not too sure. Probably about preparing the kids. I always really like to think, if you can't prepare the kids so much in terms of language, at least give them something that's in common with the locals, so that he can have something in common that he could share with the locals. So I think about my brother, who was living in Japan, and I was already in Canada. We wanted to bring him over. He only spoke Japanese, and he was 12. we decided to give him a few years of intense hockey, so that when he comes here, he can really integrate into the sports circle with hockey, which is the most popular sports here. So as a kid, he'll be able to come here and get going from day one, at least in the world of hockey. And that turned out to be a great thing. He really performed well, and he entered. He was part of the gang, so to speak, when he came here, and he was able to integrate socially very quickly because of that. And also, of course, he's a very outgoing kid, so that helped. But it wasn't the language. He had to learn English and French on his own. But I think hockey did help through some of the difficult times. All right. So, I don't know if you guys have any comments or questions. Let me pick out another question, this time from the multilingual parenting Facebook group. I do urge you guys to join the multilingual parenting group. It's a big group. I think it's about almost 12,000 members. Anytime, lots of people, they throw in their questions, and then people jump in, and they pile on and give wonderful remarks and comments, suggestions. So here's one that I picked out. I thought was pretty cool. So here's a person who's of Vietnamese descent, and he wants to add Chinese to the language mix for the kids and for the father himself. So, hello, Chloe. Not too sure how that handle name is pronounced, but welcome to the folks that are coming in. Spots of Fun, Sunshine Chinese. Speaking of Chinese, that's exactly the topic right now. A question that I'm picking out from the Multilingual Parenting Facebook group. Here's a person who's saying that it's a Vietnamese parents who wants to add Chinese to the language mix for the kids, and to the father himself, so he wants to learn Chinese. And so they are living in the Netherlands. So once again, I was mentioning in our sort of niche community here of lots of people who have cross-cultural marriages. We often lived in a third country. There's lots of languages and cultures that come into the mix, and people want to know how to navigate the scenery. And these are these are the type of folks that join together in these Facebook groups. And so this person is living in the Netherlands. He's of Vietnamese descent, and he wants to add Chinese to the language mix. Okay. Now, this is the fun part. He says the father is pro learning and pushing discipline. Okay. Maybe this is stereotypical. Forgive me, but yeah. Asian culture is often associated with lots of discipline. Now, the mother is against pushing and is, according to him, too easy on the kids. Okay, so one is a laissez-faire. Well, the father is more of a discipline type. The mother is more of a laissez-faire type. And so mother jumps in whenever the kids are not happy. If she feels the father is pushing too much. It's something that I think comes up quite often when it doesn't have to be Asian and non-Asian. It's almost down to a type A personality thing potentially. I don't know. It's a potential I guess educational strategy misalignment, right? Or maybe it's a good thing, right? The yin and the yang. One side pushes a lot, so the kid has at least some sort of a refuge in mommy, who's gonna, still support what daddy says all the time, at the same time, giving some comfort to the kid who's feeling the pressure. It could be, complementary rather than opposing from that perspective. I think it comes down to how you deal with the situation, how you, the best strategies would be that, the parents do work, have the vectors in the same direction and work in tandem. Their strategies maybe doesn't have to be the same, but if they are complementary and if it's not confusing to the kid, if they're not opposing in that sense, I think differences in pushiness or discipline could turn out to be a good thing. But so this person is asking, if there's any tips. We don't want parents to fight. So how do you come up with agreements and what's that word? What's that word where you compromise? Where you find a compromise? Now, so before I get into some of the comments that the folks are saying about this situation, here's Ute saying, well, I agree. They can be complementary. Yes. If they work together and don't see it as a competition. Competition, what a great word. It should never be a competition in the family. Not between daddy and mommy, not between the kids. I feel that's so important. Inside the house should be a safe place where everybody knows that there's only love that's going around. Competition is definitely not a good thing under the same roof. Okay, and so what else did she say? And don't see it as a competition. And if the children are okay with it, yes, buy-in, regardless of whether you're too disciplinary, you're not disciplinary enough. I think an important point is to have the kids buy-in about the strategy. Great stuff. Yeah, it feels like you're on camera right now having this live discussion. So what are other folks saying in this Facebook group? Once again, it's a multilingual parenting Facebook group, and I've picked up a question about Vietnamese parents wanting to add Chinese to the mix, but the parents sort of have a difference in terms of how much they want to push the kids to learn the language. Okay, so I have one of the first comments. I'm seeing this for the first time, so I'm doing a reaction video, so to speak, I guess, to this. And let's see what's the first person saying. Marriage counseling. I don't know. Is that the right way to go about it? Okay, nothing more important than sorting these out. Yes, marriage counseling. If it really is that serious, I guess I don't know the degree to which they are really not agreeing, I guess. So, but this person says nothing more important than sorting things out. Yes, if you can find the compromise, great. But yeah, I guess so. If you can't sort it out amongst you guys, counseling may be the next step. But I'm sure there's lots of just really take the time, sit down and see the other person's view and opinion, and really be able to. I think one way to discuss is to really be able to show the other person that you understand what they are trying to do, that you are able to paraphrase their strategy and make them and convince that person that you understand exactly what they are doing. That sort of opens their ears to what you want to say, rather than you each sort of getting bogged down on your position. In negotiations, it's called positional negotiation. What the negotiation experts talk about is principled negotiation, where you sort of want to first understand what the other person is saying, like really be able to convince the other person that, first of all, yes, I understand what you're trying to say. It's because of this good thing, this good thing, this good thing. Now, you're convinced that I understand what you're trying to say. I see this weakness and this weakness. Okay. Now, understand what I'm trying to say is this strength, this strength, this strength. Let the other person say what the weaknesses are of what your strategy entails, and find a middle ground. Anywho, this person, the one last little nugget of wisdom here is we're all here to learn, even as grown-ups. Definitely. Just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean you know everything. And you don't have to have that, you don't have to play that role where you have to know everything. You definitely don't. You can learn even from the kid, and it's okay, I think, for the kids to know that, hey, daddy doesn't have the answers to everything. In fact, sometimes the kid may be right, and if you're able to let him or her know that you're able to break down the facade and really admit that when you're wrong, that really humanizes you and makes the bond and trust between you and the kids even better. All right. Ute is saying, yes, communicate, listen to what the other person wants and needs, and don't take different expectations personally. Yes. No one's attacking you. No one's attacking you. Yes. It may feel like that. It may feel like they're belittling you, but no, let's focus on the problem. You can sit on the same side of the table. This is something that negotiation courses talks about. Rather than sitting on opposing side of the table, like literally, just the physical thing of sitting on the same side of the table and looking at the problem and really focusing on the problem itself makes it feel like you're on the same team. It's lots of psychology, I guess. Okay. And when Ute's asking, yes, we can learn a lot from our kids. Yeah. I don't know if we're putting any surprising information out here. I think everybody knows this intuitively, but it's hard. It's hard to admit it, especially if you're scolding the kid and you're like in an authority position. It's hard. I'm first to admit sometimes I can't do it. Like on the spot, I can't do it. And that's why I have periodically, every 2-3 weeks, I sit down with my kids in a very calm, situation. We sit down, take 10-20 minutes, as much time as needed to have a 1-1 session. We just sort of open up and talk about anything and everything during those sessions. And this is where I share it. Sometimes I would share, that time when daddy got really mad at XYZ, I can say that I'm sorry for whatever I said, or when I was wrong on this or that. Sometimes it makes it easier on me to say it in those times than right on the spot where I'm just like steaming. So doesn't happen so much. Doesn't have so much, but it has happened. It has happened. So, I'm putting my life out there. Okay. What else are other people saying? They should focus on the love of learning. Anything? Yes. Yeah. So this dad is saying he's pro learning and pushing and being disciplined. I don't know if that means pro skills based, as in doing lots of drills, lots of grammar, potentially. Reading, right? But let me go out on a limb and sort of assume that's sort of his bent. Then I think it's easier if you're able to take out, sort of extract the internal motivation of the kids and be able to get the kids to really have this sustainable love for learning, whether it's languages or anything, as this person says, just learning, discovering new things. And she said not on the amount of vocabulary. So there you go. That's possibly that's sort of what I'm agreeing with. Vocabulary or grammar or this technical hard skill aspect of languages. This person goes on to say, I remember growing up bilingual. Sometimes I knew the word in one language and not the second language. Most important is to learn a second language early on, before 9. She actually says before 9, for the brain to develop more. Okay, well, 9 or not 9, it's it's debatable. Many people have different thoughts on what is called the critical period hypothesis. Sometimes it ranges from 7 or so to early teens, but there is a range where experts say that our capacity to learn languages or acquire languages naturally and efficiently sort of declines. And that sort of justifies the observations that we see in the real world, that most people, when you're in your late teens, you sort of have a more difficulty on average to learn languages. Many of my polyglot friends, these top-notch, world-renowned polyglots, will beg to differ, and I understand, their perspective that anybody who has the motivation to learn will be able to learn languages to an extremely high level. Now, obviously, the key word here is motivation. If you don't love languages, like intrinsically, if you don't have that love for languages, it may be difficult. It may be just a chore. Maybe just a drag if you don't care about languages. You sort of have to do it because of work, because of you're living in a different country, and you sort of feel obligated to learn that. Then it's pain more than anything else. But if we come back to the critical period hypothesis, it's still a sort of controversial in certain areas. I guess from an observational perspective, what you see in the world is that most people, when you get into late teens and beyond, you just don't see people who are able to learn languages very effectively, especially in terms of accents. So this natural way of speech in the accents probably degrades over time. Probably. Unless there's another way to explain why we don't see so many people relative to kids, right? Immigrant family comes to a different country. Usually over time, the kids will learn much better than the adults. That's just an observation. It's a factual, I guess, observation. Okay. What else are folks talking about this this couple? Vietnamese parents. One is very disciplined and pro learning, pushing. The other is more laissez-faire sort of approach. Other folks are saying Dad needs to go and read a whole heap of horror stories about pushy parents and reevaluate how he pushes the kids. Wow. Okay. Well, once the dad reads this comment, wonder how he's going to feel about that. There is no need to be very pushy and disciplined for a child to learn another language. There's no need. Okay, it's one way to see it. Or it seems to me that this person is saying you should not just no need, but you should actually not do it. Then the parents need marriage counseling so they can communicate better and get on the same page. Mom is just protecting the kids from the overbearing father. Okay, I mean I sort of feel we're making some assumptions here. Like the dad is actually putting it out there. He's more a disciplined approach. Mom is more of a laissez-faire approach. I mean, I don't know if I would interpret that more than what's written in that he's an overbearing father. Not necessarily overbearing. If I were really an overbearing father, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to intentionally be an overbearing father. I mean, I think everybody thinks that they're doing it to just the right amount. Just that just right amount to you is a little too much for the other, and that's where this disconnect takes place. But who knows? Because this person says, I'm going to be a devil's advocate here. This person says there's no need to be pushy. She says, okay, Dad needs to go read a whole heap of horror stories about pushy parents and reevaluate how much he pushes the kids. I'm sure there are just as many wonderful stories about very, very strict parents who are maybe methodical, or maybe the kids had a personality that required that, or that were that liked that push because he or him herself was not naturally inclined to do that, but they're very good at performing once you have the rails set out and you got somebody in the back and pushing. Or maybe what the this father means by pushing is more like really building that infrastructure and then being there with the kid all the time and really being able to guide the child. And that for him means, pro learning, pro discipline, schedule, right? Kids can do amazing things. They have that capacity, but how do you extract that power from the kids? It could be very different from kid to kid. Some kids are more methodical by nature. Some are just all over the place. Well, many are all over the place. And if you give them a sort of structure, then they could perform very, very well. I've got some friends here. If I jump to another topic about kids learning hockey, well, this father is like, to me, looks like just a sergeant in the military to his kids. But the kids are in like the top-notch teams within very short time frames. Like the kids, 3 kids too, 3 boys. They only began skating very recently, and they just sped right past all the other kids that I know. Even my own kids were much better than his kids just a few years ago. Now they're like way ahead of my kids in terms of hockey. And the father's like really strict, but he's got his program set up, gets him to do this drill, that drill, and he knows this stuff, and that it worked. And if the kids get into the National Hockey League, they'll have, this father and mother to thank, definitely. But yes, I'm going to come back to this person who's saying about the horror stories about pushy parents. I don't deny the fact that they may break, but it really depends on the kids. It really depends on, I'm not saying they're like torturing them or anything, right? It's a lot of discipline, lots of hours on the ice. It's not like they're torturing the kids. We're not giving them their basic needs, meeting their basic needs. No, it's super loving parents, right? How we express that love is different, and how kids perceive that love is different. So I think we'll come back to like the main topic that we've been talking about since the very beginning. Is that communication between the parents and the kids. You have to work as a unit and be able to get everybody on the same page before actually exercising lots and lots of discipline. It's hard, and I think it applies to the other side too. So many horror stories about spoiled kids, right? How you defend that? Just letting them do whatever they want, right? There's extremes are bad in any situation, and I just don't think there's a one size fits all method. You just really have to work it out and find the one that fits, and that takes time. That takes lots of brain power. That takes lots of love and understanding, and yeah, lots of communication. So here's Ute saying every parent has his own experience with this, and it's not fair to take part until you really know what's going on. Yes. So I cannot add any more to that. It's just a perfect comment. You just don't know. That's why I'm always sort of hesitant on going in and saying this. You should do this. You must do this. As if the way you perceive the situation is the reality. You don't have like a little bit of context. You can take that context and put in some assumptions, and based on that assumption, you would do this or you recommend this. That's sort of how I would go about it, but not go in with definitives. That's very hard. It's easy when you go in with definitives, both for the person saying it and for the person on the receiving end, because it's quite crystal clear, but it doesn't mean that's the right thing. You could end up following the wrong advice. And Ute also says, what causes Okay, going on what counts. Maybe a pushy parent is worried about something. Yeah. Yes. Here's a different perspective on the situation. Why is the parent pushy? Is he worried that the child does not have the skills? Is the or is he worried that the child is too lazy? Or is this child going to I don't know. I don't know. What are the worries of this? And potentially we could address that rather than having absolutely, the need to go down the path of strict, militant discipline. Again, there's lots of aspects that we need to contend with and analyze. And I definitely recommend everybody to take lots of time as early as possible in the child's life to do a lot of reflection, lots of discussion, and take the time to build an infrastructure, build a process, and then later on, just let that strategy play out. But most of the investment in time and energy, I would say, is in the early stages. Okay, so how's that? Big discussions going. Wow, it's already 45 minutes. I thought it's going to be done in 5 minutes since I'm alone today. Once again, thank you for all the folks for your comments and questions. For today, it's second week of July. Next week, we will be having an interview with an expert from the U.S. She will be talking to us about how she raised kids in English and Spanish. So do look forward to that next week at the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, North American Eastern time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Central European time. Right? So what else do I have to say? Thank you again to everybody. I'm just checking out on my screens here just to make sure that I've covered all the ground. And shout out to my wonderful co-host, Ute. You enjoy some time with your family. And I'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye now.